not yet.
Yes. 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 Are you ready? Yes.
Good. So, hi everyone. I'm going to stream another match from the Age of Empires Seasonal Championships, this time the Summer Championship. It is one of the few last matches from the round of 128, and it's going to be Tibia versus Yoda. Tibia, I think you might have seen in the stream a couple of times. He's playing usually team games, and he's pretty good at that. And Yoda, I think he has been a team player for quite some time as well. Some time ago, I think he was also pretty decent, more like Major Lieutenant Colonel or something. And he also signed up again for a tourney, and I believe he had some practice, so I'm curious to see how these guys will all play it out. This map, first map is going to be Tibet. We've seen this a couple of times already. Just a brief summary again. You have the big plateau in the center, which means of course one additional herd, and of course only a few ways to get off the plateau or get onto it. But in general, this map has not the best herds, and they are not in numbers the best, and also quite far, as you see over here. One herd is close to your town center, as always, of course, and then the next one is paused. The next one is like over here, or it's in the back. And if it's in the back, you always have to be to keep in mind that if you herd it, you should try to herd it like around this cliff, otherwise it's going to be stuck here and you're going to find yourself in a very awkward spot, especially if your opponent is going to raid you, of course. Looks like Tibia is in need of another drink or something. The matchup, by the way, is going to be British.
Are you ready?
Tibia playing British
Yes.
versus Yoda playing French. Actually, this is a matchup I really like. It's of course one of the most classical matchups from Age of Empires. But on this map, I feel that if the French guy rushes, it's going to be a bit tough for the British. Just because British is a civilization, of course, that needs quite a bit of food. And in this map, that's exactly the problem. There's not that much food around. And otherwise you would have to fight for it. And that's of course something which requires a little bit more of an aggressive BO. Which means that the British can't really shine in what they're best in, and that is like booming with the houses and their general economy, which kicks off a little bit later than the French economy. Of course, this map also had. Oh, by the way, did he left the wood on the floor? I'm not sure what he's up to. He might be going for this this strategy, which is 9 villagers. You make 9 villagers and then you ship 3. And then you age a little bit faster, perhaps if you eat a cow as well, which he might be doing, yes. And then you basically age up very fast, and you might harass your opponent, for example, with 3 SR shipment first. And if you do a market during your age up, you can get just the first first upgrades, like hunting dogs and placer mines, and nothing else, and then you can still make 5 hussars as well. So you basically have 5 plus 3 is 8 hussars to rate your opponent a lot and hurt his economy, while you then behind it build up your own economy. I'm not sure what's going on there with Tibia.
Are you ready?
Looks like
yes.
I don't know. Anyway, that strategy can be useful. I think we saw a soldier doing it also in the tournament in one of his games, if I'm right. But we've also seen this strategy, funny enough, a little bit played out on Game Ranger. the other variant where you can play Age of Empires. Anyway, just to quickly finish the explanation. Oh yeah, usually, oftentimes you also see a trading post being mixed in there, just to make sure that you can keep up with the shipments to catch up with the economy. However, since he only started with 100 wood, he wasn't really able to do so, and of course he also didn't find any big wood treasures. It looks like Tibia is not familiar with the map, and that is actually really big of a problem. A big problem because, well, of course, if you play tournament, guys, always be sure to check out the maps before you play on it. I mean, that's like standard stuff. It seems to me that he is quite surprised that his hunt is so far. But I've been over this a couple of times. It's just the normal way that this map is gonna lay out. He has one in the back. I think he never really scouted it, but this, of course, is quite hurtable towards his town center. If you have a look at, like, it's only one screen, so it's quite hurtable. He is gonna find this one though, so that means that he will have another one. Like, if he hurts it constantly, he will have it on time, I would say, except for the fact that the French guy is going for this really fast rush threat. You saw, by the way, that he built this market exactly as predicted. He's gonna have both the place of mines and the hunting dogs upgrades. And there we have. Oh, this is not okay. Really, he can't, of course. Let's see what he's gonna do. It's gonna be a barracks, as you see here. Maybe he wanted to try to put it over here, but that's of course not gonna work because there's a certain area around the town center when you just can't build. And it looks like Tibia, kind of expecting some kind of rush, is gonna wall here. It will, of course, help. I was about to say it will help. For example, if he's gonna send a shipment. Or also, by the way, he can't really run to the plateau. On the other hand, if it's going to be a shipment like 3 hussars, he can still run on the right side. Anyway, this is now going to be spotted by Tibia, which means that he should know a rush is incoming. It looks like Yoda is going to catch Tibia's only hurt, which Tibia is now responding to with the famous Honolo taunt. Anyway, he still has one in the back, but for some reason, he never really scouted back. This obviously indicates to me that Tibia doesn't know the map. So, there's the first 5 musketeers coming in, but Tibia aids up with the tower, so he should be... Well, that tower is gonna lose some HP. He's not gonna lose villagers, and somehow he aids up in quite okay spot, by the way. I think I missed, maybe he had... Yoda had 90 wood, by the way, just to quickly point it out. That villager is not gonna die, it's gonna be saved. Yoda had 80 food as well. Tibia had no food treasures. But still, it seems to me that he aids up at a pretty decent time compared to the all-in, the very rush-based style of Yoda. Anyway, this musketeer is not going to do that much. You see that they damage the tower by quite a bit, though. 500 HP almost gone, and he's going to lose some valuable HP on his hero, which is really not needed. And he's going to lose a villager. Yes, he's going to lose one. Meanwhile, the musketeers just lose a little bit of HP, but not that much. It's quite okay. Oh, and we have the 3 hussar shipment, which was actually, as I mentioned before, quite standard with this strategy. You really have to make it work, the fact that you age up so fast and kind of waste a little bit of your economy by not doing steel traps and such. And therefore you kind of committed to sending 3 hussars and to get some damage done with it. I'm surprised that Yoda didn't really scout. Of course, he's French. French have 2 scouts, so he should have really scouted this, and he should have really sent his hussars to get those 2 villagers. I'm really surprised that he didn't. Scouting the map, guys, is always very important, not just to know where you can raid, but also where to know where your opponent is later on gathering resources. By the way, Tibia did ship 6 musketeers before 700 wood. I find this questionable in a way. Anyway, I understand this decision from him because he really felt pressured, and seeing that the French guy also sent 3 hussars, it's probably justified. However, I think 5 musketeers and just Minutemen could have also been enough. I mean, even shipping 700 wood, selling 100 wood once to get the gold out for the Minutemen, I think would have been my preferred choice. Especially because you also have a tower with it, and a town center fire if needed. But I guess he just wanted to be safe, and if he correctly identified the strategy, he's not too far behind because of how the French guy started off with this. Anyway, 700 wood of course comes in after, and he is still able to catch up with a boom from there. Meanwhile, I think Yoda didn't have the most optimal trade here in this battle. But that said, he shipped 8 crossbowmen. He's really keeping up the pressure. That means if you look over here at the villager count, of course it's French villagers, so there should be 1/4 added to it. So he's actually almost at 19 villagers. But still, that means that Tibia is 3 villagers ahead. And if we look at upgrades, that's very similar. Tibia does have hunting dogs very early though. He made a market very early. I missed that. But he doesn't have steel traps yet. And by the way, he's gonna lose his second villager, it looks like. Oh, barely gonna save it. He did upgrade his villager HP already, which is quite a good thing. Otherwise, this one would have gone down for sure. And the same goes for that one. That one lives because of the villager HP. So that's 2 villagers saved already just for a small investment of just 75 food. Yeah, basically Yoda is just pressuring a little bit, walking around, while Tibia is now on the other side trying to damage the barracks while he's buying time, hiding the villagers in his racks, in his town center. And this might be a good time for Tibia. If he's gonna call out Minutemen, although he doesn't have the food, then he would really have a nice spot to fight it, because he had the musketeers, the tower, still a little bit of town center fire, and the Minutemen forcing flanking from the back. But as it is, it was all a dream. It doesn't happen. No Minutemen being called. I think he's still trying to lure Yoda in the right direction, that he can call out Minutemen. Oh, he has 6 Minutemen on the way. That's also quite good. What you see here, by the way, is that they're both sending a lot of early shipments in military just to keep up with each other. And this is not the best fight for Yoda, because he's fighting near town center fire, although that is now unloaded. But near town center fire still. And of course, these 6 longmen shipped, they will really do quite some work against these musketeers. Tibia also did quite a good job saving his villagers over there. I believe one last hussar that was raiding did die eventually. So it looks like we are gonna have a little bit of a pause here. Tibia is gonna stabilize for now. He transferred his villagers to where he can gather more safely. He probably assumes, and of course I think it's a pretty fair way. That's also quite good. What you see here, by the way, is that they're both sending a lot of early shipments in military just to keep up with each other. And this is not the best fight for Yoda, because he's fighting near town center fire, although that is now unloaded. But near town center fire still. And of course, these 6 longmen shipped, they will really do quite some work against these musketeers. Tibia also did quite a good job saving his villagers over there. I believe one last hussar that was raiding did die eventually. So it looks like we are gonna have a little bit of a pause here. Tibia is gonna stabilize for now. He transferred his villagers to where he can gather more safely. He probably assumes, and of course I think it's a pretty fair assumption, that Yoda is not able to make cavalry just yet, seeing that there were 3 hussars early, a Rex this early, the Age Up early, and the 8 crossbowmen. You just know that there can't be any stable out at this time. It could be coming around this time, because this 700 food shipment could have been 700 wood, but that means all this time he's still okay. And we see that even, by the way, this is actually quite good play from Tibia. I think what I just said is also what has crossed his mind. Like, what if the French guy did ship 700 wood after the crossbowmen, then he could have made a stable, which means I should be checking my the edges of my base just to make sure that I find any possible raiding hussars. Assuming that's what he was thinking, good job by him there, and he's now found that there's no raiding hussars from Yoda, meaning that he can just go for a little bit of raiding himself. Meanwhile, there's a stable going up from Yoda, even without the 700 food, by the way. That is quite interesting. I think he just bought it in the market. Too bad I can't see the trades. I really doubt he had gathered 700 wood, 200 wood, sorry. For some reason there's a cow back there. I have no idea why that's not picked up by either player yet. He was trying to come in the back here, try to see if he can pick up a few villagers. But Tibia actually, I think very smartly, decided to move his villagers to this herd, mostly. Because Yoda's base is on the left side. He knew about this. He doesn't know about the stable yet, but he knew that the base was here. He also probably, in the line of sight from the house, had an idea where the musketeers were, meaning that it's kind of this area that he has to shield off, meaning this area is quite safe. Meanwhile here, one villager dies from Yoda, meaning that by now, by the way, as you see over here, Tibia also shipped 700 food just to make sure that he could keep up with the production because of this low food map. I think very smart choice. I think actually Tibia's card order is quite good, based on what he saw from Yoda. and the choice that he makes with sending the right cards, I think, especially considering this map. So this true cavalry is still raiding a little bit, although it's now returning. And what I really like here, and that's also something I mentioned before, it's more important to raid and keep raiding than to really kill a villager. And with that I mean that of course you want to try to kill a villager if you can, but don't really suicide your hussars into too much town center fire or possibly get caught. It's better than to just turn away and come back in a minute later and then do additional damage. The threat of you still raiding is more important and annoying as well for your opponent than losing both your hussars too fast. Looks like Yoda is gonna take like the control of the left part of this map. Also, of course, because he can then still gather with his villagers. It's the same thing, by the way, and that's what both players are doing quite nicely here. You kind of shield the map and gather behind, so that you know either it will take your opponent a long time to move there, or you will be able to shield off your opponent. Similar that Yoda is, for example, not gathering on this mine or this, but he's gathering here. We have a little bit of a fight here. Tibia is trying to wall off some more, and these longmen are doing really nice job here behind the walls. Very nice use of the walls and good positioning as well. Meanwhile, he added 2 hussars and he's going in for another raid. And I think he's probably gonna find out that the villagers are gathering gold on that mine there. Keep in mind that Tibia still has Meerman available. He should be seeing those, and he's already moving his villagers on time. Very nicely done as well. So he found the villagers on the gold mine, and they have still no villager HP, meaning of course they will go down faster than with the villager HP. Yeah, that's very obvious. Thank you for explaining. Anyway, he's gonna get 1 villager only, but it looks like he's gonna have a very nice trade here. If he can use the hussars to snare the musketeers, which he is doing so, then he will really be able to deal with this smaller mess from Yoda, because he also still has other longmans in the back of it. And as well, he's gonna bring in some cows, just because why not. And this is turning into a favorable game for Tibia every minute, because his hussars are still raiding, they're still alive. I believe, look at this, I think every one of these hussars is from the early batches that he made, and they're all still alive. So good job there. He's gonna find a few more villagers, which are for sure gonna die, and that might even signal indeed the end of this game for Yoda. So, actually quite a good first game here in the series. Entertaining to see a little bit of a rush. I think very nice play from Tibia. I feel that the rush for Yoda didn't really quite turn out as he planned it to be. I think mostly because of 2 things. First of all, what he did with the musketeers was, I think it felt to me that overall he took a little bit too much damage while not really doing that much. And I feel that his hussars should have been raiding here or here, instead of going through the town center fire and tower fire and actually died off too fast. I feel that especially what Tibia did so nicely, keep your hussars alive for a longer period of time, because if you are able to deny him from gathering here, it means you can still push with the musketeers because you are still gathering. And because he wasn't able to prevent the gathering from Tibia was able to mass quite okay. And otherwise, if his hussars would be alive longer here, or let's say here where there was a hunt, it means that Tibia would have to send musketeers. It means that there would be like 3, 4, 5 musketeers less in the main battle, which means that then Yoda had another edge of pushing, especially when he had the 8 crossbowmen out, as you see here, like 2 minutes before the 6 longbowmen. Yeah, so that kind of summarizes it. So quick look at the post game. Tibia smartly deciding to stabilize first, shipping 6 musketeers before the 700 wood. I think after all it's quite okay. I still feel that you would be able to hold off with Minutemen and 5 musketeers in the tower, but I also understand, because like maybe I actually think that because the French guy went for such an aggressive strategy, like the 12 villagers, such a low economy, and both shipments, I think this is the correct choice actually that Tibia went for. Maybe if the French guy did like 14 villager and the standard stuff and shipped 3 hussars, then just Minutemen would be okay. But in this case, it's probably better safe than sorry, as we all know, because if he would stabilize, he would probably be quite convinced that he would win the game afterwards, because he could still count on his like British boom from there on, which is exactly what he did. Yeah, so well played. So it is at BO3. Tibia is up 1-0, meaning that... Oh, where did you go? Meaning that if Tibia is going to win the next one, of course he's going to advance. But we all, of course, hope that Yoda is going to take one game, so that we have a full BO3 series going to 2-1 either way. Ah, good that the quality options are back. Yeah, guys, I know the quality options like take 15 minutes or half an hour or something. And but usually it seems like everyone lately is getting quality options, so not just me.
Yes.
Guys, if you play a
Yes.
tournament game, always just make sure that you know the maps, because of course I'm joking around a little bit. I know these guys, Tibia mostly, but if you sign up for a tournament, make sure that you know what kind of map you're playing on. The maps are all set, so you know what you can expect. So just make sure that you know how the map is. Like, is there a hunt? Is there a sea? Is there a trading post or whatever? And also maybe even prepare like civilization specific strategies or even specific counter strategies on maps. Anyway, looks like they're both comfortable with the little description that I gave, so we can start this game. Second game in this best of 3 between Yoda and Tibia. Tibia currently up 1-0, and we're now going to play the second game on Cascada range, which is, as you saw me typing there, a little bit of a rush map, I would say. Either rush or like some kind of FF thing or so, because basically there's not that much food around, and food is quite far away as well. So, nonetheless, because there was no trading post, Yoda still decided to go for German. Of course, German always gets the Udens, which is always nice to rate, no matter what map you're playing. And Tibia is going for French. This map, by the way, it does have natives. Let me quickly check. Klamath, what are these? These are your lands, yeah, we know that, but what is the unit? Ah, the UI is blocking it. So let me guess. Oh, it's both Klamath. Oh, this is Nutka. Okay, so that means this is the pikeman, and this is then some kind of ranged infantry, probably countering heavy infantry kind of unit. Knowing Tibia, I know that he sometimes likes to go for native, so maybe he's gonna pull out something like that here. Otherwise, I know he also likes his crossbowmen and pikeman stuff, so actually I'm already looking forward to how this is gonna play out. Because if you take control of the center here, you basically have one additional herd. And actually, like if you place your base, let's say somewhere over here, you actually can herd both of these towards your base, which is actually a huge thing if you can secure that. Of course, both of these players have access to a pretty good base economy, so to say, and also 8 crossbowmen, a pretty decent shipment. Of course, Germany has a little bit of an edge in the shipments. They have one more army shipment than French has. So an all-in rush will be hard. On the other hand, if they go for crossbowmen, pikemen, the general thing is that a French crossbow pike is probably a little bit stronger if they can survive the shipments from a German guy, which of course also has the 2 free Udans with it. Anyway, market start for Yoda. And what did they guys... Okay, both of them got 40 woods, very nice. Both of them a couple of small coin treasures, that's all quite okay. And of course the French guys also starting with a market. Even with so few hunts, I mean you still have one starting hunt and one hunt which you can reasonably well herd towards your base. So basically in that case it's still worthwhile to go for a market, I would say. And these ones, this is what I was talking about, these ones are actually this is a berry, so you won't be able to herd that anyway. This one is really hard to bring in, and wait, that's his second, this is third, then there should be berries. Okay, yeah, so basically after the second hunt you will get Uland for sure. He's already working on it. I like it actually. Maybe he can bring it in on time. I've mentioned before that I really don't like if you overherd early in the first age, by the way, because you waste a lot of valuable time. Oh, actually he's aging, sorry, I take that back. But just to continue that thought, if you start herding too early, you will waste a lot of valuable time, and if you age up too late, you will also find yourself in a very bad position, because you'll be ready with your units, with upgrades, etc. Of your cards as well, by the way. So in these kind of maps, I think it's okay to herd your second herd a little bit earlier. That is in the first age. But as you saw, Tibia, as I'm now like counting back from where he aged up, I feel that as soon as he aged up, he sent his last villager towards this hunt to bring it in, or start working on bringing it in. Yoda, meanwhile, is not doing anything like that. He still has one. Okay, he's now working on that hunt. And indeed, Tibia is going for the natives. He found the Nutkas, which are of course the pikemen, as I mentioned. And maybe he's even gonna go for like double Nutka. You can of course combine it, for example, with a stable. Like if the German guy is gonna go for, let's say, crossbows to counter the pikemen, you can add cavalry. Also to catch the raids, so that's a very valid option. And also, yeah, you could perhaps combine it with like a Rex, but that would only be really worthwhile if the German guys goes for doppel soldiers or something to counter the pikemen. But maybe you can still add it later. We have to see what he's gonna do. Either way, going for both is also an option. That's just like the Expo Pike strat from French, but then instead of the normal way, you will do it with the natives. Yoda did... Oh, he makes a wall. That means that he's expecting a rush, and I think he is so because he sees, of course, if you take a look here on the right side of the map, right corner, he sees this icon. It's not just for me, he also will see that. So that means he knows that Tibia also has a trading post up, and now of course he knows for sure. And there is just 5 Nutka on the way already. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight in the order here, Tibia is has just made... Oh, Yoda is quite late, by the way. Of course, he threw up, he made a market, but I feel that he's a little bit late, I don't know. Anyway, Rex coming up for him, I like that a lot. Of course, if you see this kind of rush, you don't want to go for a stable early. And Tibia is gonna make the second training post with the ranged infantry kind of thing. Anyway, what you can combine this with is either native cards, that you get a free shipment from the native tribes, or the 3 Hussars. Basically, he wants to do the same thing, put up a lot of pressure early. I'm not sure why the Hussars really walk that way. Maybe missing a mistake in the flag point. Anyway, 3 Hussars he's already... Actually, I would like to siege the house first. If you see this, he brought this down 1200 HP. That would be one house. That would mean that Yoda would be popped right now, which would be a huge thing. It's always a huge thing for German if you house him. So I really actually would have liked to see that, especially because it's also not just because I see it, but it would be quite obvious that he's shipping 8 crossbowmen to hold off a rush like this. As it is, he decides to fight it. Tibia it is, and I'm really not quite sure about it because I feel this is a bad trade for him. The town center is still firing on the hussars, and the crossbowmen meanwhile are taking out most of the Nukas, although the Nukas still have quite a lot of HP. So in the end, let's see. In the end, it is 3 hussars that went down, and 3 of these Nukas. And he has 2, 4, 6, 8, so about 5 or so crossbowmen went down, 2 Udans, plus of course some idle time. I say in the end probably quite even trade, but I still feel that it would be better for Yoda in the long run, because if he would be if he would have a little bit more of these melee units, he would probably be able to better melee this whole army simply by having a good surround. Anyway, here's this card what I was talking about, native treaties. You get the shipment from your native. That's this actually, you get 3 or 4 or so from both. A little bit sloppy there, losing both Nutka there for free. And here you see, by the way, that these natives are decent, but like nothing more than decent actually. He's gonna have a nice, okay, 3 doppelsoldners, yeah. This is also, of course, very predictable. You are rushing your opponent very hard, which means that he's just gonna do he's gonna have to use his military shipments, and the problem is that the German has a small advantage in the fact that he gets 2 free Ulan with every shipment. And that means that he is still better capable to deal with these native infantry, ranged infantry units in general than any other civilization, because he doesn't need a stable yet. He's doing quite a good job with using his range and picking off units left and right here. And as you see here, that he has the advantage in numbers, so he can pick off many more units from Yoda, from Tibia that is. And Tibia really can't do much at this moment, because his 3 hussars were all lost in this little bit unfavorable trade. And that's also if you're playing someone who is like not too bad, like too far, like there's not too much of a skill disparity. It would be better off going for going for guaranteed damage than going for killing a Rex like half HP. Because if he would have killed a house, Yoda would have been housed earlier, and he would have been housed again. And you see that he's also now gathering a lot of food, which means less units. So now he took down this barracks. He probably thought he could get it down all the way, but I just feel in these kind of situations, just get the house down, and probably much more useful. Anyway, the training post is has been taken down by Yoda. Meanwhile, what's Tibia's plan? He's gonna ship 700 wood and try to kind of transition into musketeer and hussar, it looks like, or maybe actually crossbowman and hussar. Although he won't have any coin, I guess. Oh, he has coin for a couple of hussars. 3 hussars probably he can make. Is he anything in queue? Oh, he did even actually do the steel trap, so he's ahead in economy if he can maintain this. The German guy has not shipped 700 coin, nothing. Maybe he's gonna add doppelsoldater, or he's gonna age up, we'll have to see. Tibia still, of course, has 8 crossbowmen available, the shipment from his home city. So actually, if he is, for example, if he ships 8 crossbowmen after and has 5 hussars, then he can really take care of this army, because he still has these units, of course, left over from before. It looks like... What is Yoda's plan? Okay, Mark going down, but it doesn't really matter that much because he did all the upgrades already. Of course, you can still sometimes use it to trade some resources, but look at this. If his hussars are coming from the right side for a good and proper flank, then he can really take this out. There's only 1 doppelsoldater left. I think that he did a pretty good job with targeting with his town center, target fire. And this is now very, very awkward for Yoda, because he has to fight, he is forced to fight, but Tibia has a much better army here, a better composition and the better mass, even bringing his raiders, which is not really needed, I feel, but anyway, trying to really secure the victory here. And you see that this is all the way what Yoda has to walk from his town center towards the fighter. He's doing a pretty good job picking off the clubmen left and right, actually. Quite okay, I have to say, because now he can use his Udans again. and of course try to take out the Hussars as best as possible. And he's targeting is nice. He started nicely. He lost. He lost that guy. Actually, his fight with the new 5 Ulans went much better than I expected it to be. But then again, I really feel that Yoda Tibia should have been gathering resources in the meantime. I mean, he really didn't need the villagers, and if he would have been gathering resources, I feel that his next batch of Hussars, which is now non-existent, could have been existent, and maybe it could have been like 1 or 2 Hussars, which would really help in this case. As it is, Yoda still, sorry, Tibia, I'm still mixing up these names. Tibia still does have quite a good ranged infantry army here. And he's now mixing in some pikemen again. So the game is definitely looking better for Tibia. And Yoda, after his 700 coin shipment, which he used purely for Ulans, he's now of course a long way from aging up if he chooses to do so, which actually in this case he won't be able to do so anytime soon. Tibia doesn't know this. You might say, can he expect it? But I think it's really hard for him to expect that that was a 700 coin shipment, to be honest. And also now Yoda shipped 5 Ulans. And that is really a scary moment for Tibia, because if he commits too far, he will get trapped. It's like both of these guys going a little bit too far in both situations here, because this is something that... yeah, the pikemen are still quite good, and the Doppelsoldier is now taken out, but the Ulans will probably still fight it. Although look at how long these pikemen will take to, how many shots they need to die. These crossbow are a little bit going in the wrong way, and this is something he should have pursued, I feel. I definitely feel that, okay, well now the pikemen are there, maybe he was kind of expecting it, but... the thing is, if he can gather his crossbow together, he does have a decent army, but at some point, especially if the numbers are growing, it's really tough to deal with a 3-unit army composition when you have only a 2-unit army composition, especially when the Ulans are quite low HP. They won't really seal the deal as a good block for his cavalry. It's not really anti-cavalry, and the idea is that Tibia will just go in melee with both his cavalry and his pikemen, meaning that the Ulans will have to run, but then the crossmen will get killed by the cavalry. That said, Tibia is probably scared of a raid, and this is a moment for Yoda to try to get rid of this army. Tibia is gonna get one of these villagers, and maybe even a few more. This is also, by the way, why the early herding for Tibia have, I think, benefited him a little bit more. It looks like there was maybe a back herd or a back shoot by accident, but at least his herds were a little bit closer. This one is not even herded from Yoda so far. And Tibia did retreat around the trading post the other way. And this is really something, I think he's setting up for a nice flank. Keep in mind, by the way, that he's also having his villagers close to his army, which he can use any moment to fight at the tank, and that's really going to prove to be very beneficial for him as well. And this is what I mean, a 3-unit army composition with a lot of hussars and a lot of clubmen, and he's of course not able to take this fight. Yoda is. He has to retreat, but as he tries to block the cavalry, he will get knocked down by these pikemen, and the crossmen will just not be enough to deal with this. And there you see every Ulan dying like very fast, and the crossmen then in that case as well. You wonder like what would be the best thing to do in this kind of situation. Well, it's a tough thing, because you probably have now the thing is that he killed a little bit, but he lost his entire army. So in this case you find yourself in a very shitty situation. But as it always goes, you have to try to make the best of it, which means that you probably should be targeting the pikemen with crossbowmen as best as you can, and probably try to run with your Ulans and go raid as much as you can to buy yourself time, because now you just lose everything and really got like probably the worst trade-off that you could have gotten off. Anyway, Tibia is winning here as well, which means that he's now going to take the 2-0 victory in this BO3. And thus advance to the next round. Yeah, here you see it again, by the way, twice. This is near Tibia's town center. Here Yoda clearly overcommitted. He shouldn't have gone in so far, knowing that the French would, of course, you could expect him to come back with 8 crossbowmen and 700 wood shipment. So I really don't like that he really committed this for, especially with possible villages as well, and of course madmen, which I believe weren't called, but still an option. If he would have added more pikemen, could have been a different story. especially because the longer the game goes, the more useful these small to Ulan raids would also be for a German player. Still, I think both of them played pretty nice, and I believe that Yoda is also a little bit rusty, so that won't help, of course. Yeah, so good job there. Tibia wins. And let's see if we have something else coming up.